Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today I'll be taking you along with me through a week in my life as a third year medical student here in the UK. At the moment I'm in my neurology block which will last for 5 weeks. This particular week is all about neuroanatomy, the foundation of how the nervous system is structured and how it works. It's a packed week of lectures, anatomy labs, and small group section where we also start applying this knowledge to real clinical scenarios. So let me take you through what this looked like for me day by day. This week begins with a beautiful day. My morning usually starts with getting myself ready, prayer, Bible devotion, and then helping my kids prepare for school, packing school bags and lunch boxes before dropping them off and heading to the university. So this is me on my way to the university. Monday was full on with a lineup of lectures back to back. The first lecture for the day was an introduction to neurology by the block lead. This was followed by the second lecture on the overview of neuroanatomy, just looking at the structure of the central nervous system. Then we moved on to the third lecture on ascending and descending tract of the spinal cord. Then we finished the section with the fourth lecture on spinal nerves. So by 12:30 the lectures were done and I grabbed some lunch before heading back to Nine Ways Hospital for my afternoon small group section. There we worked in our small group of about 16 students to discuss research ethics, and we had to come up with a PowerPoint presentation that we will deliver the following week. After that, I squeezed in some reading for my upcoming communication skills section next week before heading to pick up my kids and wrap up the day. Tuesday started as usual with the morning rush, school drop-offs, then off to uni. I had just one lecture today, followed by an anatomy workshop. The first lecture was on the basal ganglia and the cerebellum, their anatomy, location, function, and direct and indirect pathways. After this, I had 2 hours free before my next class, where I found a quiet spot to study. At 12 p.m. I had my anatomy section, so just before that I changed into my lab coat and I headed into the anatomy lab for a workshop testing what we've learned so far in neuroanatomy. After the anatomy section, I had a guided study on GP practice for another 2 hours. Once classes wrapped up, I picked up my kids and took them to the community library, which has a lovely play area. They read and played while I caught up on more studying. One of my favorite acts for balancing mom life with med school. We stayed for a while before heading home. That wrapped up the day. Wednesday was a classic Scottish weather. It was raining and grey. I arrived early at the uni even though my first lecture wasn't until 10 a.m. That gave me some time to reply to emails and catch up on admin before the day really began. We had 2 lectures back to back. The first was an in-depth look at the 12 cranial nerves, their anatomy, names, numbers, connection, and how to test them clinically. Then a lecture on the cranial nerve nuclei, studying the fibers, types, and connections. This was followed by a 1-hour anatomy online guided study section where we are required to complete a workbook with some questions on neuroanatomy and everything we've learned so far. The day didn't end there. I had 2 interviews lined up. The first was for a student ambassador role at the university, held in the Global Room, a lovely space on campus. The interview went really well and I left feeling positive. The second interview was for a healthcare position. This time it was online via Teams, so I headed back to my quiet spot at uni. I logged in and got it done. Another one ticked off my list. By then it was time to head home. I picked up the kids and stopped at the local Aldi to grab some groceries and finally call it a day. It was a very busy day, but it was quite an exciting one. Thursday greeted us with sunshine, which is always a treat in Scotland, and the morning started with 2 lectures at the city centre campus. The first one was on space occupying lesion and the clinical presentations, while the second one was on visual and auditory pathways, basically how the brain processes visual and auditory information. In the afternoon, I went to Niners Hospital for an integrated teaching section. This is a section in my small group with about 16 students and is led by a GP tutor. We went through some role play scenarios focusing on uncertainty and complexity in medicine, exploring how doctors navigate ambiguous situations in clinical practice. It highlighted that medical uncertainty is one of the challenging aspects of medicine, but with good communication and shared decision making, this can be managed effectively. This really gave me a lot to think about, and that wrapped up Thursday. Friday was another beautiful sunny day. I had no morning lecture, so I used the time to catch up on studying. By midday, it was time for an anatomy workshop, so I changed into my lab coat and headed for the anatomy lab, where the section ran until about 1:30 p.m. Once the anatomy section was over, I got changed and made my way to Dallas for a small group section at 2 p.m. I only had about 30 minutes between my anatomy class and the afternoon section, so that was just enough time to get me to Dallas and also for a quick lunch before class. Once I was done, I went to locate the allocated room to join my group. This afternoon section was an interpersonal education tutorial where we worked alongside nursing students to explore the concept of poverty and how this impacts health and well-being. So we worked through different case studies and just discussed how to allocate resources to meet everyone's need. I really enjoy these sections as they are such a good reminder that medicine is never practiced in isolation and that teamwork lies in the art of good healthcare. And that's a wrap on this week in my life as a third-year medical student in Scotland. From lectures to anatomy labs to group work and balancing life as a mom, it was busy but so rewarding. If you enjoyed coming along with me, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'd love to share more of this journey with you. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.